This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com. We are on Facebook at the Hannibal TV. I just want to say thanks again, Don Morocco, for signing this action figure for me and actually giving this figure. And I'm saying that because I did a great interview with him in Hawaii last week and finished editing it just now. It should be posted sometime tomorrow. But for now, let's jump in to my Wrestling Observer review. There's a lot of news this week, so I'll get right to it. And by the way, Don Morocco is actually the new night wrestler I ever met. The best hospitality I've ever had for a shoot interview is from Don Morocco and his magnificent family. So let's get right into it. The Vince McMahon Netflix documentary has caused a new WWE lawsuit stemming from the 1992 Ring Boy scandal involving mainly Terry Garvin's other scandals at the time involving Pat Patterson and Mel Phillips. Sorry, Mel Phillips is the one being targeted in this lawsuit. So TKO is facing an excess of $30 million related to 5 Ring Boys. I understand that this was a horrible thing that went on, but I don't know. I'm no legal expert, although I have quite a successful record of suits. But it seems like a little weird how I don't quite understand how TKO, who just bought the company, can be responsible for something that happened over 30 years ago. I just don't know. I'm just saying I'm not a legal expert. So that documentary definitely caused that. Also, Mel Phillips has been dead since 2012. He was a ring announcer and head of the ring crew, and apparently had a fascination with little boys' feet, which a lot of wrestlers, including Sid, have spoken out about. TKO also settled the UFC lawsuit this week, going for over 10 years for $375 million. This was a ruling for fighters that fought for the company between December 2010 and July 2017, 1,214 fighters. Anderson Silva will get the most, but 35 fighters will get more than 1 million. Anderson Silva will get more than 10 million. 100 will receive more than 500,000. 200 will receive more than 200,000. 500 will get 100,000. 800 will receive about 50,000. And Tom Lawler, who I've wrestled and beat, by the way, but he had very, very, very tight rear naked choke on me that my neck hurt for days after. If you watch the match, you can see the point where he did that. So I'm sure I was hurting more than him at the match. He's getting 155 grand, so congratulations to him. He's a very nice guy. In other news, Dave Bautista did a promo against Trump on Jimmy Kimmel. Now, I already talked about this. One of the issues I had with this is he acts like he's such a tough guy. His main 2 street fights that he's known for badly against Booker T and a guy named Robbie Dix in OVW. Robbie Dix ended up dying, but he was apparently a super athlete, and Batista was hitting on his girlfriend or something, and he beat the shit out of him. That story has been confirmed by many, many people, including Rip Ross. And yeah, he's a judo or jiu-jitsu belt, but that is, it's what tournaments has he won? Because I've been, and I'm not saying I'm the greatest, but I'm a really good amateur wrestler, better amateur wrestler than most grapplers are. And I've walked into many jiu-jitsu places and martial arts over the years and beat purple belts using cranks and the moves I'm good at. So I really don't, I'm not saying that you're not good if you have your purple belt or whatever, but what belt is Brock Lesnar? He doesn't have a belt. Belts really don't mean anything. Yeah, you're knowledgeable, but it really, we've all seen his MMA fight. The guy had a massive belly and was much shorter than Batista. So I just didn't like the way he was presenting himself as a tough guy. And I guess the Undertaker did it. Undertaker and Kane kind of put out a response video with Donald Trump that got national mainstream publicity. So the funny thing about this election is it's tied with wrestling a lot. Mick Foley also has done a long anti-Trump speech calling him a con man. Steve, the wife-beating ringmaster Austin, is also not a big supporter. Which, by the way, he pled no contest to the wife-beating charges for anyone that didn't know, and received probation, a fine, and community service. I would know where he did his community service. Punk not wrestling in Saudi Arabia on the upcoming show there. He has said in the past he would never go to Saudi Arabia. A lot of people said that in the past, ended up going. I think John Cena was one of them. John Cena, I like him, but I'm not going to say anything further. Buffalo, which is a big wrestling town, only has just over 6,000 pre-sold for the upcoming SmackDown there. Survivor Series Vancouver has about 15,000 now. About 5,000 short of what a full arena would be, 20,000. WrestleMania, here's what a lot of people are saying WWE is very greedy. And this is one thing I don't like about current time. Like, apparently they put tickets on sale for WrestleMania and they started at a lower price, but because they went in high end, they've jacked the prices up. Remember the old days? You couldn't jack up ticket prices after they went on sale. I mean, wrestling is just so corporate now. I really don't like much about wrestling these days. The backstage news is interesting, but the stuff like that pisses me off. You call it dynamic ticket pricing, good for you, but it's, to me, as a regular person that works a normal job, I don't know. I just find that low to do. But I understand why they do it. In Philadelphia, that had over 18,000 for the SmackDown there when The Rock was on it. And I think the Raw, too. Had a 25% off ticket sale before the show and just over 12,000. That's still a good crowd. But you can see that the big buzz of The Rock and stuff have gone down since The Rock's been disappearing. SmackDown in Columbia, South Carolina last week did a good number, over 10,000. I will say one thing, I believe it was from Raw this week, and I said this in a regular update, but had Jacob Fatu job to Cody Rhodes, and it was all over social media. And I just found it weird that they would do that in a Raw dark match in an era where everyone has cell phone cameras. It's bizarre. Like Braun Breaker, he has so much potential. Then he jobs to Sami Zayn. Then he jobs to Jey Uso. His title back from Jey Uso. It's like, it's just away heat from some of these guys that have way more potential. Like, get it? Like, why have Jacob Fatu job to Cody before you have the match on a big pay-per-view? It's not 1988 where no one outside of the town is going to know, or no one out the arena is really going to know about the house show rules. I don't know. Maybe it's because I like Jacob Fatu, and maybe wins and losses really don't matter. I don't know, but I don't agree with that booking. Dynamite only did a 0.19 rating this week. Rampage only did a 0.06, and Belts, their big special, only did a 0.08. Rampage 0.06, that is. Dave Meltzer says the AEW booking right now is problematic. What I'm sick of hearing about is how they're celebrating how great they are for this TV deal when nobody, like the product itself is less popular than ever. And all we keep hearing about is how great this TV is. Let's give us something to watch. And one interesting thing talking to Don Morocco with is it's so bizarre that they let like Collision and Rampage go to hell to the point that Rampage is now canceled when they have all these stars under contract making as much as $6 million a year in some cases. And most of these people, $4 to $6 million a year, aren't even used every show, let alone every week. If you're gonna pay so much for these people, why not make them work? I just don't get it. Sting has been signed to a Legends deal, and I don't blame them for signing a Legends deal. I wish I knew how much it was. But the thing of I'm sure they signed Sting to a Legends deal is to make sure WWE doesn't sign them to some type of deal to put stuff out. Great time to be involved in wrestling right now. If you're any time and you're not a controversial person like me, because there's money to be made in it than ever. I'm Josh Alexander, who I did an interview with last week, and I liked, but his interview only got 100 hits. But I like him, and I did like his match. He's a great guy, and I hope he goes and gets super popular. He's going to be like under a huge contract, and there's so many people making huge money, and it's great for them. And I'm happy a guy like Josh Alexander is going to be making good money because he's a good person. Watched his match the other week, had some good chops in it and stuff. It's a pleasure to meet him. One of my friends, Johnny Devine, trained him. AEW Dynamite and Rampage in Salt Lake City. 1,500, including comps this week. Apparently for the NWA's recent, where they have less buzz than ever now that they're off CW. I don't know if they're even on air anymore. You could say, and I got nothing against these. I met him, other than I don't think he's a good champion. It may have been, well, I think Murdoch, another guy I have nothing against. He was a really bad champion. But like it has, love him or hate him, people were talking about NWA more when Tyrus was champion. And I don't even like Nick. Well, who knows? I like work in WWE more in the past, and he whined a lot considering the pushes he had, but I actually have respect for him. I have interviewed him. He's developed into a better wrestler, but I guess I could actually tell you that all this was probably the best champion of the Billy Corgan era. I would say Tyrus is the second as far as people talking about the company. I wouldn't have ever imagined for it to drop this much in popularity to the point where no one talks. But yeah, for their recent show in Philadelphia, according to Joe Good, they were at Walmart giving out free tickets before. In M News, Dana White says they're planning to go to Africa in 2025 as well as Spain. Cain Velasquez attempted murder sentencing that includes several weapons charged for firing off guns or a gun on a highway, where he ended up shooting someone that wasn't the guy that he intended to shoot, by the way. A lot of people think he should get fully off because he was trying to shoot an alleged child molester. And I understand where he's coming from there. But by firing on he did put other people's lives in danger, and he ended up not shooting the guy, but somebody else. So I don't know. I think a lot of people think he actually shot the guy that is the alleged child molester. But I totally understand where he's coming from. I wouldn't wish that situation on anyone. And I like Cain Velasquez. I think he's a great fighter. Nothing against him at all. So let's get into your questions. The interview with Don Morocco went great. And as I said, I just finished editing. I will be posting it. I don't think Great North Wrestling will ever have a Hall of Fame. I honestly think there's two, in some ways, any Hall of Fames in wrestling, but I covered the one in Albany a couple weeks ago. Had fun there. I hung out a lot with Tony Atlas, which I actually became fairly close with Tony Atlas. Now I've always been friends with him, but I felt like we became much better friends after spending a few days with him and driving him around. No, it's not wrestling anymore, and I just don't making more money than ever. There's more revenue streams than ever. I mean, I just don't find it entertaining. The backstage stuff, though, is still entertaining. But someone's asking about GNW. I don't even have interest in wrestling anymore or putting events. I've completely lost my passion for the business. Nah, the blue collar will not take his family for $15,000. It's not good for them if they can charge that much, man. Good luck with your marriage, man. By the way, if you're wondering why I haven't posted as much this week, I've been just flying back from Hawaii. I caught something over there. It's starting to feel better today. Motor City Machine Guns, I guess, just won the tag team championships on SmackDown. To me, they're very small. Good for them to finally make money after paying their dues for years, so I'm not complaining from that. But those guys, I have no interest in watching. Don would have been one of my favorite interviews, maybe just from what a nice guy he was and how much fun I had with his family. What a great day that was. Billy Graham is a hero of mine. Honky Tonk and I had good chemistry. The interview trip, the first one I did with in Philadelphia. Billy Jack Hayes and Barry Windham, Missy Hyatt. I had a fun time that weekend, Ted. And I interviewed a bunch at the convention. That was a fun interview trip. I've had a bunch. Any stories about Natalia's sisters? I saw them a bunch, but I really was friends with TJ and Natalia. Jenny dated a guy that I did not like in Stampede Wrestling. And he never ended up doing anything. And I know they didn't last. I don't know the other one. I knew Ellie well. Ellie was always around the shows in the dungeon, who's Jenny, or who's all of their mothers. And I knew Jim somewhat from being on some shows with him and using him on some shows. And when I used to hang out with Ted, he would come by to drink or smoke weed sometimes in those days. But as far as his daughters, I didn't really know them. Natty's a great person. I trained with her. Used her when I first started promoting for Stampede Wrestling. And she was when I was doing security the last time WWE show, we actually walked by her when we were doing a security tour, and she here's a nice thing that she did, because it's kind of depressing when you're doing security at those shows, when you're actually on the shows, and when you're walking by, and I'm making minimum wage, but whatever. It had its benefit for the, but I really didn't like doing the wrestling shows. And when I walked by her, she pointed me out to the whole group and said, "Hey, Devin," and gave me a hug in front of her. And everybody from the security thought that was really cool. Yes, there's going to be more RF classic shoots coming. By the way, a very good chance I'm going to spend the whole winter in the U.S. It's freezing here. And I liked being there doing shoots in person. And really, there's not much for me here in Canada, and I really don't like the coldness. So there's a very good chance I could be going to the U.S. very soon until this cold weather goes away. I have interviewed the Hammer Valentine at least twice, including once a couple ago. and I used him on Great North Wrestling many times. Famously no-showed me. But I've had more good experiences than bad with Greg. And I don't really hold grudges with people forever unless you've screwed me over. So wish everybody a great weekend. Check out this. This is the most extensive Don Morocco interview ever done. Coming out tomorrow, 3+ hours. Have a great week.